Charlie Kirk was a man known for his influence, charisma, and unwavering voice in political and social circles. On that fateful day, the city seemed ordinary, bustling with routine and mundane chatter. Charlie, however, was focused on a meeting that promised to shape the future of a movement he had passionately built over years. He was walking briskly down the narrow streets, his phone buzzing relentlessly with notifications and reminders. As he approached his car, a sense of unease ran through him, though he dismissed it as mere stress. He had faced countless challenges before and had always emerged unscathed. Little did he know, this day would mark a turning point far beyond any prior threat he had encountered. The streets that once felt familiar and safe now seemed ominous, shadows stretching unnaturally as if warning him of the unknown. In the background, surveillance cameras captured every moment, unwittingly holding pieces of a puzzle that investigators would later painstakingly reconstruct. Passersby noticed nothing unusual, yet a few remembered feeling an inexplicable tension in the air. Charlie opened his car door, unaware that someone had been watching his every move for hours. The witness, who would later describe the scene in fragmented details, recalled a figure slipping through alleys, moving with calculated precision, almost blending with the city itself. This was no random act. This was planned. Every step Charlie took was mirrored by eyes hidden in plain sight, every gesture anticipated by someone who knew him well, or at least thought they did. As he adjusted his jacket and stepped inside the vehicle, a sudden sound of faint, almost imperceptible click cut through the routine hum of the street. It was subtle enough to be ignored, yet it carried the weight of what was about to unfold. Moments later, chaos erupted. Charlie was struck, and in an instant, the world he had known turned violent and incomprehensible. People screamed, cars honked, and the city seemed to pause, holding its breath. First responders arrived quickly, yet by then the scene had already etched itself into the memories of those who witnessed it. Questions swirled immediately. Who would want Charlie Kirk dead, and why? The city that had once admired him now buzzed with speculation, conspiracy theories, and fear. News channels scrambled, social media exploded, and hashtags demanding answers trended globally. The investigation began immediately, and authorities combed through hours of CCTV footage, interviewed dozens of witnesses, and pieced together a timeline that seemed, at first glance, almost surreal. Charlie's life had been anything but ordinary, making the motive behind his murder complex, multi-layered, and disturbing to uncover. Political opponents were scrutinized, friends were questioned, and family members were placed under protective watch. Meanwhile, an anonymous tip arrived, suggesting that the perpetrator might have been someone from within Charlie's trusted circle, a shocking revelation that would send ripples across every community that had supported him. The first chapter of this story was far from over, and as investigators worked tirelessly, the truth remained hidden beneath layers of secrecy, deception, and carefully orchestrated plans. Detectives immediately focused on the evidence, trying to connect the dots in a case that seemed almost impossible to solve. Charlie's phone, partially damaged during the attack, revealed a series of cryptic messages exchanged in the days prior. Some were mundane, discussing meeting schedules and political campaigns, while others hinted at tension, threats, and warnings that Charlie had perhaps ignored or underestimated. Investigators traced the origin of these messages to a burner phone, one deliberately untraceable, suggesting premeditation. Inside Charlie's office, Colleagues described him as both meticulous and cautious, yet never paranoid. He had enemies, yes, but no one could have predicted such an audacious act. Digital forensics became crucial. Surveillance footage from nearby businesses showed a figure in a hoodie, moving with remarkable agility, almost disappearing between frames. Authorities worked tirelessly, enhancing video, comparing gait patterns, and cross-referencing every detail with known associates of Charlie Day. The initial suspect list included people with political rivalries, disgruntled former employees, and even strangers influenced by online narratives. Each lead seemed to open another web of possibilities, complicating an already sensitive investigation. Meanwhile, public reaction intensified. Celebrities, politicians, and influencers poured out statements, expressing shock and grief. Social media became a battlefield of opinions, accusations, and rumors. Some claimed insider knowledge, while others speculated on conspiracy theories, ranging from political sabotage to personal vendettas. Charlie's family, devastated by the loss, struggled to comprehend how a man so dedicated to his cause could meet such a violent end. Interviews with close friends revealed a man committed to his principles, someone who often took calculated risks for his beliefs, never anticipating that risk would culminate in a fatal confrontation. Amidst this chaos, detectives discovered something unexpected. A security camera from an alley across the street, overlooked by previous teams, captured a brief but revealing glimpse of the suspect's face. It was enough to generate a profile and lead authorities to a new line of inquiry. The suspect's movements, tracked digitally, revealed meticulous planning, travel patterns, times of surveillance, and even attempts to mislead the investigation by planting false clues. This was not a crime of passion or impulse. It was executed with precision and intent. As details emerged, a chilling picture began to form. The murder had been orchestrated by someone deeply familiar with Charlie's daily routine, someone who knew his vulnerabilities, and someone who could blend into the environment unnoticed. Each revelation added layers of complexity, making the pursuit of justice both urgent and dangerous. The investigation took a dramatic turn when detectives discovered a hidden cache of emails in Charlie's private server. These messages, encrypted and stored for security, contained correspondence with multiple figures, some friendly, some adversarial. A pattern emerged. Charlie had been negotiating critical deals, addressing controversies, and navigating political challenges that had earned him both respect and animosity. One email, in particular, stood out, a veiled threat from an anonymous source, warning him to cease certain activities or face dire consequences. Although the language was indirect, the tone was unmistakable. Investigators traced this email through sophisticated cybersecurity measures, uncovering digital footprints that linked to multiple IP addresses across the country. The web was intricate, suggesting a network rather than a lone individual. Meanwhile, forensic teams examined the weapon used in the murder. Ballistic evidence, combined with residue analysis, suggested the killer had experienced handling firearms and knowledge of forensic countermeasures. It was evident the murderer had anticipated every possible response, planning to evade capture meticulously. Public sentiment intensified. Vigils were held, protests erupted, and media coverage dominated every platform. Celebrities who had interacted with Charlie shared heartfelt memories, emphasizing his influence, drive, and impact on their lives. Social media campaigns called for justice, encouraging people to share tips and report suspicious activities. As investigators delved deeper, the narrative became murkier. Some leads pointed to personal grievances, others to professional rivalries. It became clear that solving the case required not only forensic expertise, but also an understanding of the intricate social and political networks surrounding Charlie. A breakthrough came when a detective reviewing hours of traffic footage near the crime scene noticed a car parked suspiciously several blocks away, matching descriptions from anonymous witnesses. Tracing the vehicle revealed connections to a previously overlooked individual or consultant who had recently parted ways with Charlie's team under unclear circumstances. Interviews with former colleagues painted a picture of someone harboring resentment, feeling wronged, and possibly motivated by a combination of revenge and opportunity. This revelation shifted the focus of the investigation, narrowing the suspect pool and providing authorities with actionable leads. The suspect was brought in for questioning under strict surveillance, and the interrogation room became the center of a tense, dramatic showdown. At first, the individual remained silent, refusing to acknowledge involvement. Detectives presented evidence-y CCTV footage, digital traces, and witness accounts, forcing the suspect to confront the reality of the mounting case against them. Slowly, cracks appeared. In a tense exchange, the suspect admitted to following Charlie, citing grievances and frustration, but denied intending to cause fatal harm. Investigators, however, were unconvinced, noting inconsistencies and the premeditated nature of the attack. Forensic analysis, combined with witness testimony, confirmed that the suspect had indeed executed the act with deliberate intent. Legal proceedings began, with prosecutors presenting a case constructed from weeks of meticulous investigation. The courtroom became a battleground for truth, justice, and public scrutiny. Every detail of the murder was examined, from motive and planning to execution and aftermath. Charlie's family watched as the narrative unfolded, their grief compounded by the public spectacle, yet tempered by a desire for accountability. Expert witnesses provided insight into the psychology behind premeditated murder, emphasizing the combination of personal resentment, calculated planning, and opportunity that had culminated in tragedy. The defense attempted to portray the suspect as remorseful and impulsive, but the evidence was overwhelming. Each piece of digital, physical, and testimonial evidence painted a consistent picture. Charlie Kirk's murder was deliberate, planned, and executed by someone with intimate knowledge of his life. The trial, closely followed by media worldwide, sparked debates about security, influence, and the vulnerabilities of public figures. Social media amplified every revelation, with commentators analyzing motives, missed warnings, and the broader implications of the case. The story of Charlie's death became more than a headline.